Hey guys, Thomas the Slow Jr. here, aka Mustached Tom, and welcome back to some more of the month of horror reviews. Once again, apologies that I couldn't do a review every single day, but that is a bit unreasonable upon myself to lay that burden, but I'm still doing it, despite the everlasting struggle that is plaguing my life currently. But if you want to support me, check out the second link in the description. They'll head you over to my Patreon. Any donations are desperately needed. And with that said, I'll go into the movie Pharm. So this movie starts off in a cornfield maze with a naked woman who's running through the maze through the several psychotic members of a certain killer family, and she's eventually killed, but she managed to get one of them, the mom of the group of killers, but again she's killed in the process. We are cutting to this blonde guy. I believe his name is I don't know. I have it in my notes later. But he's making out with some cheerleader chick named Brandon. No, wait. I think it's Brandon. Anyway. So another female barges in with another guy. These two are Mel and Rustin. And they talk about the Pharm and wanting to try something different because their lives have been monotonous. So they head over, and the guys split up, and then the girls split up from them. So guys and girls. And while that's happening, the father killer gets a message that the special person has arrived, which is Mel. Oh, hold on. I lost my notes. Give me a second. Sorry. Okay, there we go. And then, so the four of them, with that being determined, get a trip to the VIP maze. So the father says to not take the middle path, because it's very clear that it goes straight through. And probably would have been the safest thing for them to do, but the four of them hear that there's a money prize and they're all greedy for the money, so they split up into four to have four chances of winning the money. So they all take a separate path. Brandon being the first to get the fakest spook of spooks, followed up by Rustin, who whenever he runs up to any of the faker spooks, he talks to them and trying to give them some encouraging words of an actor. But soon after, he sees his first real spook. And he's talking to one of the real killers, and he doesn't even know it yet. So anyways, Mel gets the furthest among the four. She's I'm assuming what would be a halfway point in a maze, because she's on this bridge. And I've done mazes before, and that's usually the midpoint of the maze. So I'm assuming she was halfway through the maze, based off of previous experiences. And, meanwhile, the main guy that I forgot to name earlier, Andy, that's his name, talks to the female killer. So she cuts him in the leg pretty quickly, and that leads to him running, or at least attempting to run away. She was leading on a flirt and failed, so she went for the direct approach. Anywho, Mel runs into the big guy with the chainsaw, the one on the poster, who headbutts her down and tries to knock her out and do all that stuff. But she manages to fight back and cuts him and runs away. So the lady killer injects Andy, so he's out for the count, and he dies later, so whatever. Rustin, the actor, runs into this white masked guy, another real killer among the killer group, talks to him as well, and thus he proceeds to start to see one scarecrow. He's like throwing stuff at it, and then he goes up to the next scarecrow and he's like starting to throw stuff at that one. But the first scarecrow had moved, and we as the audience see it. Thus, we see his arm get chopped off as the other scarecrow guy cuts him off. So as he sort of retreats a little bit, and as they are sort of moving away, Mel tries to come get him, and he's like delirious while that's going on. So that gives them enough time to grab Mel. But he once again manages to slip away. And this is in the part of the movie where the sister cuts off Andy's body part, and that's the last we see of him in the entire movie. So anyways, Mel, Brandon, I got the names mixed up in this review, and I do apologize for that. The characters aren't really that strong, so whatever. The cheerleader chick runs into a clown and gives her a little bit of a time, talking to her, wasting her time. Thus proceeds to shortly after tie her up by the neck, and she's trying to fight back and is knocked down. Thus, Mel runs into her, but as they're sort of running together, Brandon, the cheerleader, is further behind, so she's the one shot by a harpoon and dragged away. Mel, meanwhile, sneaks into a building, I guess, assumably following the car, I think, where she manages to walk backwards into one of the other killers and is choked out. So that's the stupidest thing I think I've seen in a horror movie in quite a while. Meanwhile, both of them, the cheerleader and Mel, end up tied up both together, and the cheerleader's body is all fucked up. Thus, they kill her. Mel manages to untie herself in front of the rest of the family, as they are previously explained why they need Mel. Thus, she proceeds to threaten to attempt to kill herself and slits her own throat. Thus, it cuts away to the mom of the main, well, not the main guy, but the guy we see at the beginning with the cheerleader, looking for him. She's given some cream, and then she feels all good, but the cream is made from the people skin. Thus we see cut to Mel waking up alive and with stitched up work on the neck, so her attempt at killing herself did not pay off in any way, and thus they will proceed to use her body in a coma form to continue to sell it to people to do business. And that was Pharm. Poor character work, characters acting stupid. It's not a horror movie that I'm going to say is really, really all that good. Because, and I have to state the obvious here, I think it's way better when a horror movie shows a protagonist doing, maybe they might slip up at the beginning, sure, whatever, progression and whatnot, and actually see them overcome the odds, at least to an extent, instead of walking backwards into the killer and, doing something that's stupid. What I like to see, if it's a case of every character needs to die, and that's the type of horror movie it is, then I still like to see the protagonist at least attempt to be smart. And there are certain ways you can definitely achieve that. Have her look where she's going would be a step in the right direction. For example, there are really quick and easy solutions to these types of problems. Bump into, well, not bump into, but see the killer guy run away and just have her get outnumbered or something along those lines. Something to show that she's paying attention to her surroundings but still is overwhelmed. That shows initiative while also showing that the killers have what it takes to still get the job done. That is exactly what I would have hoped to have seen, but here we are. And again, the characters aren't really that memorable. If the characters didn't introduce themselves pretty in the middle-ish point of the movie, when they first arrive at the farm, then I would have just referred to them as like cheerleader girl, which I kind of did because I got their names mixed up a little bit. The main girl that they were after, the main guy, and then the actor guy. That's what I would have kept calling them because that's how unrememberable these characters are. So I'm going to go ahead and give this movie a 3 out of 10, or maybe even a 2 out of 10. I'm going to go with a 3 out of 10. It's still pretty bad. So, with that being said, if you ended up enjoying this review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you over to my Discord server, the other to my Patreon page. Any donations are once again desperately needed, and until next time, everyone, bye-bye.